Welcome back to another episode of Movified. I'm your host, Mark Hirschi, owner of Salmon's Moving and Storage, located in beautiful and snowy Vancouver, British Columbia. And I am welcoming a slew of people. I am super pumped on today's episode. Movified Wednesdays is all over the map today. And you know what? I tried to make it very evened out. So you're going to find out. Stephen Reed, welcome again from ReadyRolls.com and Big League Movers. And today,
beautiful Memphis, Tennessee. Just want to throw that out there.
Beautiful Memphis, Tennessee.
Beautiful. The Bluff City.
And then we got two of our fantastic listeners that love the show, but also are a lot of what our listeners are. They are up and comers. These guys are people to watch out for. And we are going all the way out to Morgantown, West Virginia.
West Virginia.
Anthony.
Yeah.
Anthony Abate. Did I say it right now?
Yep.
Fantastic. With Abate's Moving Services. And we are then jumping back over into Canada with Tony Singh. What's up, Tony?
What's going on?
From Yeg Movers out in Edmonton, Alberta. So you see, Stephen, what I did here is I really couldn't just have Anthony on because then I'd be like outnumbered. So we've evened it out here with like 2 Canadians, 2 Americans. We want to make sure it works. Right, you got 2 guys that have to sit in the sun to try and get a tan, and these guys that got natural tans day in and day out. So I've really kind of evened it. But we're all sporting blue today. It looks like we're all kind of got blue going.
When Mark said you guys were coming on the show, I was super excited to learn something from you guys. You guys are killing it on the market, right? We see it every day. Like, we're seeing your brand, we're seeing y'all hit the streets. We're seeing y'all learn. You're asking me questions, asking Mark questions, asking everybody questions, Tony. A true student of the game. So I'm super excited to have these 2 guys and heavy hitters of the future of our industry on a podcast here.
So just to give a brief history before we kind of jump in here from what you guys have shared with myself and Stephen. Anthony, you guys started your business back in 2019, senior year in college with like just a 16-foot box truck. It sounds like the typical story. Get out of college, got to make some money. Find this good niche industry that's like, hey, I can do this. But now you are like just signing off on a brand new warehouse, a 3,000 square foot warehouse. So congratulations on that. And you've constantly had this amazing steady growth where I think, what was your big goal for this year? To hit that $1 million mark, right?
Yeah. I mean, I want to hit like 1.3. If I could hit 1.8, that would be a massive jump. I got to, shoot the goals high.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And then when we look at Tony, this is always like, man, I love this guy. I remember the first time I met Tony, he was like full of like piss and vinegar, just has the hustle in him. He started when he was like 19. We're talking 2022. Like, we're not even in a 5-year mark yet for Tony. And he's already at 6 trucks. He's got 2 on the way. He's probably got another 4 down the pipeline before the end of the year. And you just killed it last year with just shy of 3 million. So that's fucking amazing. Amazing growth. That is remarkable. I was messaging you and saying, I remember when I first hit 1 million and then hit that 2 million mark. That was like after, like 8 years, right? To get to finally 2 million. So for you to do it in under 3, I mean, yeah, it's congratulations, buddy. I love it. I love that hustle. It's fantastic.
Don't let it grow a year. I'll say that. Don't let it grow a year. Keep riding the horse and control.
100%.
Looking back, Anthony, I want you to tell me, what do you think shaped your success today coming out of college? What was like the big lesson that you learned getting out of college and kind of getting the company started? Like, tell me a little bit about that history, how you got moved, how you got that first truck, what made you even want to get into the industry?
Yeah. So when I was in high school, I had like $0 and I put out a Facebook post and I was just like, I will do any type of work, hard work. Some guy messaged me back and he was just like, hey, this is not an easy job, but you can make some money. Tips are great. Come in and apply. And I loved it. I was seeing new places every day. The crew was great. And then I went to college and I came back one summer and I did it again. And then I was just like, some of the guys around the warehouse were saying, hey, you can do this on your own. Like, just do it. And then I went back to college, took a year off, missed moving, can't believe I'm even saying that. And then I just saved up some money, and I bought a 16-foot box truck, leased that out, and ended up paying that off pretty quickly. And then I was like, it's time to grow this thing. Like,
How much did you start with?
so I started with $4,000 to get my 16-foot box truck.
The American dream still lives.
What was now you had $4,000, you got your truck. What were you doing in the beginning? Like, were you trying to save some money to put back into the company? Were you like, how do I market this? What were some of those first key steps that you took to kind of get that business going?
Yeah, well, my first move, it was an absolute disaster. Nothing broke or anything, but I put all my money into getting the truck, some tools, some blankets, some plastic wrap. And then just took longer. It was a local move, and it took a lot more trips than I thought. It was like a 4,000 square foot home, but I didn't get paid up front. So I'm like asking people, like calling friends, like, hey, I need gas money. I can't finish this. Like, I have $0. My card's getting denied at the gas station. They helped me out, and then I was able to finish the move. And it was just a wild start of the first like 2 days of moving. And I just reinvested everything. It's like, bought like a new dolly once I made some money, and then I bought like some material. Then I bought a storage unit that I rented out for like $120 a month. And then I started like putting all my equipment in there and like trying to see something grow. And then eventually I just started getting busy. I did Yelp for my advertisement.
Did you pay them, or did you go guerrilla style with them, or how'd you go about your Yelp account?
They had like a promotion going on. So it's like sign up, get $300 of credit. And I did that. So it just kept like, I tried putting as little money as possible with that 4,000 that was actually my money. That's kind of how it went with Yelp. It was just getting me business, and not a lot. And then eventually got over to Google, and then I made Facebook. I did the GoDaddy website for free. So that cost me like $30 a year.
At the beginning, or did you have the staff and you were trying to build these?
Every move I was on, I was knocking on friends' door. Hey, like, come do this with me. Like, all you have to do is show up. I just need help with the 2-man pieces. I'll run everything.
Word of mouth took off pretty decent. I assume you're operating. Nobody cares like you.
Yeah, it was a rough start. And then eventually people started seeing what was happening, and they're like, hire me. Hey, let me get a summer job going on. Let me get some weekend work going. And then it was a little bit easier to find some work, but like some helpers.
Did you leave on did you go to college in Morgantown?
I did. I'm originally from New Jersey, went to West Virginia University, and then started it there. And
did you have some friends in class that started with you on the first moves? So is that kind of what you were begging some of your friends from school?
My fraternity brothers, actually, I used to just after a party on a Friday night, I would have a move on a Saturday. I would knock on everyone's door, like, get up. Somebody needs some beer money today.
But let's sweat out all that booze, right?
Yeah. Like, shower, brush your teeth, and let's go.
Let's go. Tony, flip the script on you. You're 19, you get started. You probably weren't thinking about wanting to start a moving company. We were talking before the show started that you're a bit of an old soul, and people kind of underestimate you because of your age, but you've seen this amazing growth. How was your origin story? Like, how did that kind of get started? And especially over those first 6 months, were you looking at any kind of mentorship? Like, was there anybody there to help you? Because the next thing you know, you're just like boom, 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 boom. You were just growing so fast. So what were you doing in Edmonton that was setting yourself apart from everybody else?
100%. So I'll take it back to the very day one of this story. I was 18. I pretty much moved out. I got into a little bit of trouble, and I moved back home. Okay. After that, my family was very supportive. They wanted me to stay home. I got a job at a dealership, started selling cars. I wasn't allowed to sell any ups. They pretty much gave me a cold call list. I hammered that list. I was making over 500, 600 calls a day. That's all I did all day. And my first couple of weeks, I sold cars. Just over the phone, hammering the calls, and I think I did that for 3 months, and then I lost that job because of the trouble I got myself into earlier. So they kind of found out I lost that job. Trouble ended up getting cleared out. I wasn't really in the wrong or anything, right? I was just being a dumb 18-year-old. I shouldn't have been stupid as a kid. But I grew past that. And then I got a job at a moving company. It was pretty funny because I was super depressed when I lost that job at the dealership. And then I was actually with my cousin, who's my operations manager right now, and we're walking in Canadian Tire, which is like a Home Depot out in Canada here. And then he's like, dude, he's like, I just got a job, and he's like, but I'm probably not going to take it because it seems pretty shitty. And I was like, oh, well, what you got? And he's like, oh, it's a moving company. And I was like, dude, give me the guy's number. I'll take it. I called the guy. I was like, hey, I'm tall. I can lift. I'll do anything. And I took the job. And the next day I showed up, I went on a move, and I was making, I think, 17, 18 bucks an hour at that point. I was 18, right? And then the next day I come back, he pretty much texted me. He didn't have a CRM or anything. He just texted me on like the messages app, and he was like, dates 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like, this guy texted me like freaking 50 consecutive dates. He's like, you're working every day. And I was like, dude, this is sick. I started moving. I moved from, I think, March till Jan that year, and I liked it. And then Jan, and it got kind of slow. And then I did pretty much what he did. I posted on Facebook, and I pretty much tried doing snow removal, just like with a shovel, right? And I'd wake up at 5 a.m. So many people would text me to like, come shovel my driveway. I'd be like, hey, cool, 50 bucks. And it was just like 50. And I made like, I don't even know. I made a lot of money doing that back then, right?
What did you find was more strenuous, shoveling or moving?
Dude, definitely shoveling. I shoveled so much snow in like a week. My hands were like swollen, and I went to the doctor, and the doctor told me, like, he's like, don't pick up a shovel, or just don't go outside for a month, because you're gonna mess your hands up, you know. But the last person's driveway I shoveled was actually my biggest competitor, John Watson's sales manager, and I shoveled his driveway, and he offered me a job at their company. And I was like, I didn't know about their company back then. And I was like, wow, like, this is like way bigger of a company that I work at. And he was like, hey, we'll pay you more. And I was like, okay, well, you know, this is a pretty cool industry. It's really slow. I'm not getting any hours. And then I just hopped on Google at like 12 in the morning, sitting in bed, and I was like, YEG movers. Because the airport, you know how LAX is for LA, the airport code, right? That's how YEG is. So I was like, YEG movers. And I found out that yegmovers.ca didn't exist. And I was like, dude, this is like the sickest name ever. How could this company not exist? I went on GoDaddy the same night. I bought the domain. I spent the whole night on Wix.com, built my first website, 8 a.m. I went to the registry. I registered the company. Same day I posted an ad on Craigslist. Same day I got a move. Next day I did the move, and I was off to the races, right? And then from there on, realistically, I started with nothing. Like, realistically, what was that? Yeah, I haven't had a day off since then. So my first couple months, I was just running a U-Haul, and then I borrowed blankets and dollies and floor runners off of my old boss. I don't know why he did that, but he lent it to me, and I was given a good service. And the biggest motto was, I never said no to a move. Till today, we've never turned down a move because of availability, because of anything else. And the motto's just been, book every move you can, and just keep going.
Hey, moving owners, if you're not at the top of Google, your competitors are taking the calls and book jobs that should be going to you. You're at war with them, and they are winning because they rank higher than you on Google. At Rotate Digital, we use the perfect blend of AI, secret blog networks, and moving industry SEO experts to make sure your business dominates Google in your area. We go to war online for you so that every Google search turns into your new customer and not your competitors. Stop losing to your competition and become the go-to moving titan in your area. Visit rotatedigital.com today to see who's outranking you and take the next step to booking more jobs from Google.
Moving companies, you know referrals are the best leads, right? But communicating with customers, tracking progress, managing payouts, it's just overwhelming. That's why at Snowball, we do it all for you. And we're really good at it. In fact, in just a few months, the Snowball platform helped JK Moving generate over $200K in new revenue. We even helped New City Moving book 30 moves in a single month. If you have happy customers, we can get you referrals. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description to get the first 2 months on us.
You know what I mean? So after that, I got an old truck, and then I paid, I think, 20 grand for that truck. I paid it in cash. That truck didn't really work out. My first 3 trucks didn't work at all. Like, they were garbage. And then I was just like, even up till after my first season, I was just running U-Hauls, like 5, 6, 7, 8 U-Hauls a day. There was a point we got banned from U-Haul in the city here. And then I just said, fuck it. And because the thing is, I had these 3 junker trucks, like 07, 08 GMCs and a Hino, and they all went to shit during the same week. And that week, I think I had like 40 or 50 jobs booked at the end of the month. So I was going to run those 3 trucks and 4 or 5 more U-Hauls on top of that. And then they all went to shit. And then I had to pretty much, and the thing is, there's a shortage of U-Hauls in my city. So I pretty much gathered everyone I knew in my vehicle, and I was like, hey, I would take them to U-Haul, be like, go get me a U-Haul, and we'd be like, hey, we'll return it by this time. And the last U-Haul we got, we literally made an agreement with the guy. He was like a 16, 17-year-old kid. We made an agreement that, hey, I'll bring this truck back in the next hour, but I knew I'm not bringing it back in the next hour. I didn't bring it back for a month. And then I ran that truck. I run all 6, 7 of those U-Hauls all the way till I financed 3 brand new trucks, all at the same time. They came in a month later. And then from there on, I just kept financing trucks, kept getting more trucks. And then moved out. It started in my garage, then to a yard, then to a little like abandoned truck wash bay, then to like a 5,000-6,000 square foot shop that we're in right now. Then we added on portable storage. It was just spending all the money back. Everything I made, I spent it. I don't need any of this. I'm too young. I'm just putting it all back in. I feel like we have a lot of room to grow, and that's pretty much the story.
When you were finally going, okay, I've had enough. I need to start getting into newer trucks and get this going. And listening to your story, you were extremely busy. What was some of the marketing tactics you were doing at that time? Because I mean, I know 2022 was like an explosive year, especially in Canada, in BC, Alberta, like everybody was moving. It was a fantastic year for all moving companies. And then 2023 kind of teetered off a bit. But as for a marketing standpoint, being a new company, knowing that there's still a bunch of other moving companies in the area that you're competing with, what was trying to set yourself apart that others were not doing? Because I didn't see them growing, like they weren't explosive like you were. So what were some of the tools that you were using to make that work?
Well, firstly, in the beginning, right? Like I feel like when you do start, you are going to get calls, right? That's just the way moving goes. Someone's going to call you, okay? You're going to get your first customer, and you better blow their minds off. This might sound cliche, but our business has grown from repeat and referral, right? When the first 100 or 200 or 1,000 moves I did, I don't know, every time I was on the truck, I did a good job, and I looked at the client in the face, and I was like, hey, you better refer Yeg Movers and Tony to your friends and family, and tell them you're going to stop talking to them if they don't give me a call. And I would look at them in the face, and I'd be super like serious about it, and then I'd laugh it off, and I'd be like, you better refer me. You know what I mean? I'd make a big deal about it. And then people would start calling, and it'd be like, hey, like my friend told me that I did stop talking to me if we didn't hire you guys, right? So that on top, and getting reviews and just building that brand, and the brand itself, right? Like Yeg Movers, the name itself is where it started. If Yeg Movers already existed, I might have not started a moving company, but I knew that was the inspiration, right? When I saw that Yeg Movers didn't exist, I was like, boom, I got a big company right here. I have a hometown dominator name. I can start this company. I can give a good service, and I can do this, right? But the biggest thing of all is not saying no to work. Okay. Like I'm not a big marketer, right? I think there's great marketers out there, but I am a good salesperson. I am a good mover. I can hire, I can train. I think I need to be a better leader. But the biggest thing is when I first hired my first salesperson, my operations manager, I kind of let him be. They once came together, and salesperson to the operations manager was like, hey, we're booked out on this day. We got 5 moves booked already. I can book 2 more right now. Can I book those? Or what should we do? I kind of put the clients on hold. And I was like, listen, you don't need to ask nobody if you should book the move or not. Go book that move and go book 20 more, and we'll figure out a way to do it. You know what I mean? And that's what really grew the company, is just no matter what it is, just not saying no to work. You know what I mean? Like if the client's willing to book them in. and figure, and not, obviously don't give a bad service. Like we're at like, I don't know, like 500 to 600 5-star reviews on Google, a perfect rating. So we have to give that good service, but it's just that grind, having every office person on board. Like my sales girl, she booked like 3 moves in one day, and she called her partner was an ex-mover, and she called him, and she's not even part of operations. She's like, hey, like you got to come in and you got to hop on the truck here because we don't have enough movers, and guys put in 20-hour days and everyone's dead. And he left his job and he came here, and he brought a couple other of his moving buddies in, and they somehow got it done. And they ended up not even going with their own job for a couple of days. They ended up just coming working here for a couple of days. It's just that mindset of growth and having the team on board with that, right?
Well,
Especially in busy
I love
season.
that. And I got a 2-parter before I jump back over to Anthony. To kind of play the devil's advocate, a lot of guys that are starting off, they've built their website, and that's fantastic. That's great. Except they're not being found. They maybe got their Google My Business page up. At least they got their map listing. They've done this over like the first couple weeks, but they're going, hey, I'm not busy. I'm not getting the work. I don't know like what to do without spending tons of money on advertising. Your play is, hey, you know what? Like the phone started ringing right away. What made it different? Like, what were you doing to get those works? Because sure, great, you went on Wix, which is probably not a higher performing, website, and you had a dominant name like Yeg, but not everybody's going to type in, hey, I'm looking for some Yeg movers. They're going to be like, I'm looking for Edmonton movers. I'm looking, they're looking for all the different areas within Edmonton for those moving companies. So what were you doing in the beginning stages other than making sure that those referrals are coming in to get, and the great service and everything else? What were you doing on a marketing standpoint for Yeg to get the business coming in, get those calls happening?
I was doing anything and everything. I was on Craigslist, I was on Yelp, I was on Google, I was on Facebook, I was posting everywhere. And the biggest thing to me was that, hey, my phone rings 5 to 10 times a day. I got to book every move I can possibly book, right? I was on everything and anything. But obviously now we have been paying for SEO for almost 3 years now. So we're pretty much rated #1 for Edmonton movers in Edmonton from wherever you search from, right?
Would you say that someone that's listening to this, when they're getting started, that one of the biggest key factors is make sure you're booking whatever calls come in, like make sure your phone is free, that you are quick, hey, get the answers, let's get you booked, let's get you in the schedule, but also to already start working with an SEO company right away to get your website ranking higher, maybe start working into all of those plays on social media, like pump out as much posts, repeated, get Craigslist, like wherever you can, that's not going to cost you an arm and a leg to post, get out there. Would that be one of your like key tools to use?
100%. SEO is huge, right? And another thing I will say is that you can all, like, if you already have a business goal, and I'm starting a location in Calgary, so I'll see how it works. So maybe I just got lucky here and I won't get lucky again, right? So I'm putting myself to the test there too. But the biggest thing is you gotta have a solid SEO, and your branding has to be on point, right? When we rebranded my second year in, that's when the company saw the biggest growth, is when we rebranded. When we had these trucks, when we had, like, I'm not sure, we got this cartoon here. It's pretty much myself, but you know what I mean? Like, I got this, I actually got, like, I obviously saw other companies. You got Chris Knowles with True Friends Moving. You got Let's Get Moving. And I met you guys out in Arizona that year. And that's when I pretty much went back that October, and I was like, fuck it, I'm going all in. I'm doing everything and anything, and I'm just going all in. You know what I mean? So branding is important, because branding plus marketing plus good sales, right? It's all three. So it's all three, and then and good service, right? So if you can dial all 4 of those things in, then you're pretty much off to the races. It's pretty common, guys. Like, everyone's gonna Google movers. That's how they're finding you. On top, even if they're getting a referral, they're still going to go on Google. They're still going to search up movers. You know what I mean? So it's pretty much what it is, right?
One common thing I hear with all 3 of us, Mark, on this side, is we all started with no dollars, right? We all started with 0. Like, we put into some asset with a little bit of dollars. Mine was business cards and crap, right? And a business license. Anthony was a truck. Tony was a website. right? But we all started with $0. And the key is when you start with $0 and you get that first call, which all three of us have talked about, the first call was so important because we knew that was our only opportunity to get more jobs, right? Is our time is on that job, right? So we got to spend our time making sure that customer's so damn happy we can make her feel like she has to get us another job, right? And when you start thinking like that, you get real creative. When you don't have dollars, you get super creative on these things. Like you start looking at Craigslist. I looked at Yelp. I don't want to pay. I start looking at Craigslist. Oh, I got a coupon, right? But you start looking for realtors. You start asking people that you start thinking about who's people that can send stuff to my business. And before the website, when you get started anything, there is a market in moving industry like no other where you can start with $0. You can start with zero damn brand, like all three of us did. But you have to think this relentless, the common denominator is the hardest worker in the room, right? We didn't stop thinking about how to get another job. We were focused on how to get another job. We didn't have money, but we said, there's got to be a way. It's my mouth. It's Craigslist. It's all these different things. And the common theme I see here is no dollars, but you got the hardest worker in the room. You got people that understand I'm willing to take the sacrifice to get to the next stage. Right? You got people that understand. I'm interested to ask both of these guys, what are the tools when y'all came in that y'all are learning from? I know you listen to Movify and get a lot of stuff, but what are those tools? You went to Arizona. What are those tools that you used to kind of learn your game? Because I know you had zero budget. You actually had to earn it to go buy some training or buy, as Tony's doing now in scaling. He got a ready roll. Thank you for the trust, Tony. He's getting some bookkeeping assistance, but you got to work to get to that level when you start at nothing, and it gets you a kind of headspace that you can't be stopped, right? I know these two gentlemen right here and myself can lose everything tomorrow, and after hearing our stories, we're not worried about it because we're going to go find something to sell. We know the avenues to get business. We know to think strategically on how to get business when we don't have ways to get business. And I think that's where these two guys are truly special. So I just wanted to share that tidbit. It's
were you singling me out here? Were you singling me out? I felt like you were just talking about you three.
No, you're
like the lone.
You're the host. That's the role you get at the host, right? You can't have fun with the party on that
Oh
side.
my goodness.
We recently hired Ready Rolls to help us with hiring some offshore help, some VAs. And they've done an amazing job. They found the perfect candidate for our company to fill the right role for our company. And not only that, they helped us answer any questions that we had about the process. Initially, hiring a VA can be a bit intimidating. So they answered all the questions. It's been an amazing experience. Our VA has been a huge part of our success thus far. We're actually in the process of hiring a few more right now. Definitely see them as being a key part of our growth and reaching our goals in 2025 and beyond. So, the game changer for our company, I'm confident will be a game changer for you as well.
Visit www.readyrolls.com. There is now a better way to scale.
Are you a mover looking to make an impact? Discover Moving Letters AI and join the ML Plus Club today. Elevate your customer engagement with the personal touch of handwritten letters.
If you want to take your company to that next level, it's the only way to subscribe. If you're doing anything but Moving Letters AI, you need to get on it. So it's going to take your business to that next level. You're going to see an increase in that revenue. Let's go.
I highly recommend using this company. They're amazing to work with. They even send you an email on how much work they're producing for you.
Don't miss out. Join the revolution and start making moves that matter.
Put a golden damn ticket in there with Moving Letters AI.
Anthony, what would you say? What would you say is?
Yeah, so many stories in that regard. Like you said, it took you 8 years to get there. You went through the battle, but I was playing the host part there.
Oh, that's fine. Anthony totally reminded me of the first time I was on a move, and I was so proud of loading this truck for this girl or whatever it was out of her apartment. And I was like, man, okay, last piece, the truck was full. She had this big mirror, and I was like, you know what? We're just gonna slide this right over the top. It's not gonna be an issue. Like, this is like perfection. Close the door, drive to the new location, open it up. That entire mirror was just shattered over top of everything.
But
I
you
never
like that was not
did it
just
once,
thing.
never did
That
it
was
again.
you're like, man, I got to get more business out of this, right? Oh crap, that's why you were panicking more than anything, right? It's like, how am I gonna figure this out to get another job, right?
Oh yeah,
So,
Anthony, for yourself, you have grown now over the last several years, and you finally have taken the step out of being on the trucks. At what point did you start looking at yourself going, okay, the business is running smooth. I don't have to be constantly jumping on the truck. I can actually focus in the office on what's more important and on the business than being in the business. Where were you at those stages? Like, can you give us a little bit
or
of
are
a
you
history
there?
of,
Good
or
point. Are you there? Right. You're able to meet with us on a Friday, so I think you've done something on that regard. On that.
Yeah. I mean, it was like a slow start almost, but then we're moving. I hired some guys, and then after a while, they just were tired of having like the boss on the job. And I showed up one morning, I'm prepping the trucks, and the guy just went to me. He was just like, "Hey, I think it's time for you to just like run the business now. It's like, it's okay. We got this." Like, they told me it's okay. Yeah. They're like, if you're not on the phone calling people, like, we're not making money. They're like, do what you have to do to grow this. And that was like really like last March. And then from there, it's like, now I can actually like invest in like kind of like sales, a CRM. I didn't even have a CRM at that point. Like, I didn't need it. I was just calling people like on the truck, hey, we'll be there. And now it's like more official, but it was more so like my workers, like they wanted me to go grow this business. They trusted me that I could grow this business. And that's what kind of got me out. And now it's like, let's grow. And it's like, it tripled almost. It felt like, since they said like, go, we got this. And they do a great job, nothing ever breaks. Customers.
Are they still the frat brothers? Or are they a different crowd now?
No, we got rid of all of them. Friends in business doesn't really work out too well. That's
yeah, it's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, I tried it, and it destroys the business model.
now, Tony, when you were working at the first moving company and getting all these loaded texts, and then you had this opportunity to see kind of what Eager Beaver Moving and Storage was doing also at a larger scale, at what point when you were starting YEG did you say, okay, like these are the things that I need to make sure that my business is going to run efficient? Because you both now obviously are using CRM systems. You wouldn't be at the point where you are now without that. But what were some of the key things? Like, what are the CRMs that both of you guys are using, and what were some of those tools that you're like, okay, we definitely need this to make sure that this company is going to be successful?
100%. I think the first thing I kind of figured out was that I need to have a dispatcher in place, right? I know you're asking for a tool, but even team members are tools as well, right? Like, they're going to make your life easier, right? So that was the number one thing I figured out, that, hey, I need help in operations so I can get off the trucks and get off dispatching as well, and just the day-to-day problems, right? Because it's not like you need someone there to take to be the firefighter, right? So you can really like be at ease. Your mind can be at ease, so you can really grow the company. Like, the more fire you're dealing with, the less likely you are to grow your company, right? So, but to really answer your questions, the biggest tools for me were definitely Smart Moving, right? The CRM, and then also having a system in place for claims, getting myself out of claims completely, right? Having a system in place for checking like bookkeeping, and now I've realized that I need to make that system even better, right? So
thank you again, Tony. Excited to help there.
I'm excited to have that help as well, right? But the biggest tool you need at starting off would definitely be a way to kind of have your operations run on its own, and have a system of delivering a 5-star service, is what I can say. Because like, as the owner starting off, you should definitely be selling on your own, right? And then and in order for you to do that at the level you need to be doing it at, you need to have a smooth operations system, and Smart Moving definitely helps with that. But that's the biggest thing. Like, hop on Google Docs, man, and just start typing away on how your company should be ran, right? And then enforce that every single day. Enforce that, right? So really, starting off, you just need a pen and paper, man, or a keyboard and a monitor, and type away on how the operations should run, right? And step away from operations, And I honestly love operations, right? I know Steven, you're a big operations guy, but in the beginning, you really need to focus on sales and dialing in your sales and getting your booking percentage as high as it can humanly possibly be.
And I recognize that. I wasn't a sales guy. So your dispatcher, right, for you was me finding a badass sales guy, that would grow with me. So that's similar sentiment. I recognize I don't have operations without sales on that side. So sales is mission critical on that side. What did you said? I mentioned you met some guys in Arizona, Tony. So tell me about your kind of journey of like running into how you found information on me and Mark and things of that nature. What resources did you find? I see you're a researcher that helped you out.
So in Arizona is pretty interesting, as I want to go back. But the biggest thing was at the first day I went there, I think one of the first dudes I found was Blake, and then I found the Facebook group, which was a big blessing, right? That's how I found Steven as well. And then Mark, we met at one of the after hour parties there. But I met everyone, man. Like everyone I looked up to that were like essentially like the gods of moving for me. I knew about Tim. I knew about John, right? When I met these guys, I kind of thought that I would never be able to get where they are. But after Arizona, I really thought that, okay, this is doable. And I just got to do what they're doing. And I think when me and John talked, it was actually pretty funny because I saw John, he's wearing an Eager Beaver hat. And dude, John's a great guy. John's done something it's not easy to do. And it's pretty rare of what he's built, right? And it's exceptional. And I looked up to him like so impressive. And when I met John, he's wearing an Eager Beaver hat. And I kind of just went up to him and I was like, John Watson? And he's like, oh, who are you? And I was like, oh, it's Tony. And he's like, oh, Tony from Yeg Movers, you're here? And I was like, yeah. And then we kind of spoke, and then I didn't know that I thought that it was just like a generational business. I was like, these guys have been here for years. And I really found out that the company really grew recently. Like up till one point, it was not that big, and it grew so quick and so big. And I was like, this is doable. And then I met Tiem, same thing with Tiem. Tiem didn't treat me like he was any bigger than me. Like he told me everything he was doing, and it was no different than what I was doing, but I just had to tweak a few things, right? So meeting all these guys, man, like put yourself around guys that are better than you and ask questions. Like I remember once I was in a car, like my dad was giving me a ride somewhere because my vehicle was somewhere, and my mom and dad were just talking, and I got a phone call. And then and this was Brian Slater calling me. Like I told Brian Slater, I was like, hey, give me a call. I want to talk to you. And then Brian Slater called me out of nowhere. And then my mom and dad, they were just kind of talking. They were giving me a ride. I don't think they understood how important this phone call was to me. And I was like, guys, you better not talk like this whole time. And they just kept talking like over me. And I like to like not have any distractions. So the car stopped at a red light, and I kid you not, I just hopped out. And I was like, and I just hopped out and I just started walking. And I was just on the phone with Brian Slater for like an hour. And like he didn't, luckily, I don't know why, but he didn't charge me anything for this phone call. I talked to him for an hour, and I wonder how many questions I asked him, on just simple stuff, man. Like for the biggest thing I asked him, I think it was like PPC. I was having difficult tracking my PPC. He ended up telling me that I need to set up a completely different domain, so it's completely tracked off and stuff like that, and kind of just dialing in my tracking for my marketing. And that's like putting importance to, like, I just think about it when I go back there. If I didn't hop out of that car and I wasn't as focused, and if I just didn't hop out at that red light and started walking randomly and just took that phone call, like I wouldn't have been, like, that phone call like helped me grow my business, man. Talking to Austin in Arizona helped me grow my business. Talking to Nikhil Murdoch, like that's when I added on portable storage. That's when, as soon as I came back from Arizona, that's when my company grew. After that Louis Mazzaro conference is when the company really grew and took off. Up till that point, we were nowhere near where we are right now.
It's amazing.
Hi everyone, it's your favorite mover, Austin Yarbrough, and welcome to my school. The school is named Moving Army because it's inspired by Andy Elliott's team, and we've got some amazing changes coming for the moving industry, and I can't wait to work with you. In this school, we will be doing a 100-day fitness challenge. So what this means is we are going to be working out for 45 minutes minimum physical activity for 100 straight days. Stay tuned for more information and let's get moving.
What kind of resources have you learned from besides Movified?
So my first time ever going to a moving conference was this year at the Tighten Up retreat. And that's that kind of really just opened my eyes for everything. Like, hey, like this is a good business to be in. Like it's a skilled labor and like you got to embrace it. And I felt like I was like the smallest guy in the room out of every conversation I was having. So I was just like soaking up, like, what are you guys doing? Like everyone's like, I was just like, I'm still doing everything. I'm doing all the sales. I'm doing all the marketing. I'm doing the payroll, the HR. And then these guys are like, oh, I got a call center. I got, dispatch guy. I got guys going on the truck. And I'm like, so it's possible. And I was like, I'm not too far off from your numbers. I was like, we're close. It's just like, so I was like, just asking like a bunch of questions. Like, what was like the first step that you guys took to get off the trucks? What did you guys do? Like, how are you handling it now? Like, what are you doing for long distance? And people are talking tariffs with me. And I'm like, well, I need to get my paperwork in line now. It's just like, so I went home and.
Was it overwhelming? Were you like, oh my gosh,
yeah.
I got to do so much?
I was just like, I'm going to get audited. I was just like,
Anthony's going back. He's Googling. Money. He's like, what is a tariff? He's like, this is like telling someone it's a 4Q box. I don't understand what's happening here.
Yeah. And then like 2 weeks later, after I came home from the retreat, like we get stopped by DOT. They're like talking tariffs. We need all this paperwork showing. And I'm like, oh my God, like these guys are right. Like they know what they're talking about. Like let's get somebody on the phone. Let's get all this paperwork correct. So it was like that retreat really opened my eyes and really showed that like, this is a great business to be in. And if you do it right, like you can really do well here.
Well, what I it's always a great sense when you have an opportunity to listen to both of you that you can get a company started, no matter whichever industry we're talking about moving. You get in there, you get the thing started, and when you have this opportunity to not just grow your company, but grow yourself as a business owner, the continuation of learning, whether it's the reading of the books, whether it's surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals. I mean, I've said it before so many times on the show that for years, I didn't have anybody to turn to in the industry, right? Like I was always told most of these guys were cockroaches in the industry. Don't talk to these guys. Everybody's kind of out to get you. If it's within your market, you don't really associate with them. No one's picking up the phone call, and I'm not calling this other moving company to say, oh, hey, like, so I'm this new guy and how do you do this? And how do you do that? It just was not a thing 10 years ago. And maybe it just was never something that was introduced to myself. And I was always one of those people that was like, I don't want to go bother somebody else and make them think that I'm trying to get their business. Maybe it's a Canadian nice guy thing, but it just was not around. Where now, when I started going to these retreats, associating myself with, and becoming friends with guys like Steven, Brian, the list goes on, Austin, Nikhil, Josh, Matt. I mean, I have these core group of friends where I can turn to and talk about moving, which is all most of us ever want to talk about, is moving and business and how do we grow and how do we can get better, but also bettering ourselves, right? And learning, what makes us better. Like Steven said, hey, you know what? When I got started, I'm good in operations. I'm going to go find a salesperson. He didn't turn around and go, oh, I better go find myself a dispatcher, right? It was, I better find someone that has a different strength that's going to do way better at me. Exactly. Same with Tony, right? Tony's killing on sales. That guy's got a $1 million smile like Nikhil. And, so he's going to be out there hustling and getting the sales in. He wants someone that's going to dispatch and figure out the logistics side of things because that's maybe not a strong suit. So it's great. I mean, I bet you there was a good kick in the pants for Anthony to go, hey, listen, these guys, I finally can let my shoulders down. They seem to have it. I don't have to babysit them. We've trained them well enough. I'm going to step back, focus on the business, and let these guys master it out in the moving industry. So, or on the truck. So I love it. I always love talking about branding. It's one of those things that always intrigues me, from names like Big League to names like Let's Get Moving to, Abate or Yeg. When you're coming out with the name and wanting to actually put your moving company there, let's get it registered. Let's get that LLC. Let's incorporate it. I look at both companies like yourselves going, and we're going to get to Tony in a second because he knows where I'm going with this. But with your last name and choosing that as a moving company, was that a strategic move for yourself? Did you do some research on other moving companies that were in West Virginia and said, nah, you know what, I really want to have my last name as the company? How did that come about?
Well, I actually, when I started this business, my name was AJ Can Do It because my name's Anthony John. So I needed free advertisement around the student body. So I was just like, people are going to talk about this. Oh, AJ can do it. They're making jokes. And then next thing you know, May comes, everyone's moving out. Oh, AJ can move you. AJ can do it. And then it was just like this thing. And then, I grew up. That was like kind of like a year. And then I was just like, all right, I don't want that on the truck. Like, that doesn't look good. But I always wanted to like brand
especially
myself.
If AJ doesn't show up. They're like, where's AJ?
Yeah,
these guys can't,
who's
these
this
guys
guy?
can't do it. I want AJ that can do it.
Yeah, it's a limited name, but I really liked it. It's catchy.
Yeah, and it caught on, and people are just going around campus saying it, and it stuck. And then after I completed like a good move, AJ did it. And it was just like corny.
My first brand or my first thought was College Movers. So it's not, I didn't trademark that or anything, but that's what I was going around on before.
I'm guessing you wouldn't. It sounds so original.
It worked.
No.
I like having the last name because it I'm in a small city, I guess, or a town, you can call it, like less than 100,000 people. So it's like, everybody. So if I can get my name out there, like, I want to be known. So I was just like, just keeping my last name.
Oh, you'd have to.
Oh my God. Yeah.